It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. Henry David Thoreau said that several years ago. And all of you know my wife was an artist, and so we're celebrating her. And I want to thank you for gathering for the celebration today. You have had a glimpse at some of the body of work that Laura created over the past 2 decades while living here in Sapphire Valley. And we're assembled here to celebrate 2 beautiful, talented women who were taken from us all too soon: Laura Jean Calhoun Ellis John Jeffers and Lynn Maria Ellis Naretti. I know both of them personally, even though I didn't understand either of them fully. Both lived in this area of southern Appalachian Mountains for a time. Lynn is the daughter of Laura, and Lynn drew her last breath on May 3rd, 2020, in New York City in a hospital bed, accompanied only by her nurse during the COVID pandemic, and she was there from complications surrounding melanoma. Laura drew her last breath on June 1st, 2023, at home, accompanied by her daughter Jody and myself. And Jody spent the last 12 days of Laura's life caring for her mother, and she was a blessing. And now I'm calling on Laura's youngest granddaughter, Veda, who shares the same birthday as Laura, to lead a reading accompanied by 6 of Laura's other 12 grandchildren that are present here today: Veda Pippin, Aaron Ellis, Sophie Pippin, Adam Fenawal, Alec Ellis, Gina Ellis, and Oliver Pippin. And while they're coming up, it's a reading, How to Be an Artist by Sark.
Stay loose. Learn to watch snails. Plant impossible gardens.
Invite someone dangerous to tea. Make little signs that say yes and post them all over your house. Make friends with freedom and uncertainty.
Look forward to dreams. Cry during movies. Swing as high as you can on a swing set by moonlight.
Cultivate moods. Refuse to be responsible. Do it for love and take lots of naps.
Give money away. Do it now. The money will follow.
Believe in magic. Laugh a lot. Celebrate every gorgeous moment.
Take moon baths. Have wild imaginings, transformative dreams, and perfect calm, and draw on the walls.
Read every day. Imagine yourself magic. Giggle with children and listen to old people.
Open up. Dive in. Be free. Bless yourself. Drive away fear.
Play with everything. Entertain your inner child. You are innocent. Build a fort with blankets.
Get wet, hug trees, and write love letters.
Thank you.
Not part of my script, but I sprung that on them last night at the bonfire. And you did a great job, thank you. You have now been participants of the ceremonial spreading of ashes held earlier this morning in a private gathering of the family where each grandchild read their part of this prose. Also, Stark really is Susan Ariel Rainbow Kennedy, a contemporary writer and artist from San Francisco. I'm going to continue the celebration by reading a short story I penned about 2 years ago. I've read it to Laura on several occasions. What do you admire most about your wife, Laura? This is a love story where life intervenes. While teaching at Hialeah High School, I married a girl named Bonnie who grew up in the Miami area and attended Edison High School. We socialized with many of her friends while living in Florida. This is when I met one of her closest friends named Laura, who was also married at the time and who had been a cheerleader with Bonnie at the same high school. They both were very attractive with great personalities. Bonnie and I moved to Illinois to return to college and pursue our degrees. We returned to Miami area to visit Bonnie's parents and would often spend time socializing with Laura's friends. Time goes on. Bonnie and I started our family, and we lost contact with Laura. Well, life intervened as Bonnie became ill with pancreatic cancer at age 53 and passed away 3 months after diagnosis. This was devastating for my family and I was learning how to cope with the loneliness of the situation. Approximately 3 years had passed before I was able to locate Laura finally. I was able to make contact with Laura and inform her of Bonnie's death. After an informative conversation, I received an invitation to visit sometime. That was not an invitation that I wanted to pass up. Arrangements were made to visit over Christmas vacation and bring my daughter Jackie and one of her best friends, Jamie. Laura also informed me that her daughter Jody would also be home from college with her friend Jenny during this visit. Well, there was miscommunications all the way around. Laura thought I was renting rooms for my party as she did not have any furniture. I knew that I could not afford to spend that much money on motel rooms on my salary. My thoughts were that the invitation was for us to bunk out on the floor in the forward room at her place. As it worked out, we all stayed at Laura's small 2-bedroom apartment for the entire time. Fortunately, we all got along extremely well, and I came with a gift of a handmade folding canvas chair. She kept it, and me too. We spent the night until dawn with Laura playing the guitar and singing songs with a fire in the fireplace. What a great night. I knew that this relationship could develop for both of us. We shared many long-distance phone calls before we decided to move in together. She would have to give up her business as an artist in the Orlando area and move to Southern Illinois and start over. Who moves north? Except for a man, huh? We were married after my 55th birthday and have shared many adventures over the last 28 years. When I finally retired from education, we purchased property in the mountains of North Carolina and physically built a house we designed. What I admire about Lori is that she has many things that cause me to love her. She is crazy in a good way, kind and loving, funny and bold. She is thoughtful as well as an inspiration to others. She is flexible and ready to change directions if needed. She doesn't mind getting her hands dirty. She helped me build our house. I had her cutting wood flooring on a chop saw. She supported me in doing my handyman business in the community and solicited my help in setting up her art displays at art shows. She can be dressed and ready to go, so I don't have to wait on her. She always has nice things to say to whoever she's talking to. She is frugal, but not cheap. She was divorced and raising 4 children with little or no income except her art business. She can hold her own in a discussion. She does nice things to decorate her house so it looks lived in, but not a showplace. I have Laura's artwork as well as other artists' work displayed in her house. She looks natural without a lot of makeup or the use of perfume. She looks great in a pair of jeans or a skirt. She can be a little risque without being vulgar, but at least enough to keep me interested. She is a great mother and loved by a number of calls she receives from her children. She is my best friend. She shares her great ability as an artist to make our home beautiful. She is a giving person that loves other people for who they are. She taught me to enjoy the journey as much as the destination. My kind of girl. Let me see where I am. And now I'd like to call Mark Naretti, who was Lynn's husband, to make some comments.
Hi everyone. I'm not as eloquent as Jeff, so bear with me. First of all, I'll apologise for the New York accent. If you don't understand me, Alec can translate. I think the first thing that strikes me is it's really nice that it's a joint service for Laura and Lynn, because they were so very, very close. Particularly in the last couple of years of Lynn's life, I can still hear her voice answering the phone, "Hi Mama," and then be on the phone for like 5 hours while I'm... What I really remember about those phone calls, though, is one end of the story, complete laughter for hours on end. They were very similar. It's been 3 years since Lynn's passed. We've all been through a hard time during those years. The pandemic meant that we couldn't celebrate Lynn's life at the appropriate time, but now I think it's come round, and it is the right way that we celebrate her and Laura together. Lynn's life, 59 years, but wow, she crammed a lot into it. Anybody who spent time with Lynn would remember her compassion, her creativity, her silliness, her love of life, and a really big dollop of weirdness. One of my favourite stories about Lynn is that when she was feeling really well for a period, she decided she was going to join me and run a 5K. We knew that I would finish and then she would probably be 15, 20 minutes later. And after half an hour, no sign of Lynn. And everyone's kind of looking around, and I'm worried that she might be sick. Eventually, from completely the wrong direction, she comes strolling along the street. And I said, "Where have you been?" And she went, "I don't know, but it's beautiful over there." And to me, that just sums Lynn up. She was a law to herself, unto herself. She had fun at everything. The other thing, personal recollection for me, is the amount of fun we had together. The girl was fun. I had years of laughing with her, and there was no need to go to a party. Lynn brought the party with her. And for that reason, I hope that everyone here has a really good time celebrating Lynn and Laura's lives. Thank you.
This is time for family members to make remarks. If you have some fond memories you'd like to share with us here today. So family members. I know Libby has one. Of course.
thank you all for being here today to celebrate Laura and Lynn. I'm going to read a letter that my son, Laura's grandson, and my dad, that he wrote for my dad. He couldn't be here today. Dear Grandpa, I send my condolences. Grammy meant a lot to me because she helped me to become more interested in art. Many of my greatest memories of North Carolina came from making artwork as a young boy with the help of Grammy. It is unfortunate that I cannot attend the celebration of life in person. I wish I could be in two places at once. With love, Michael. So I just wanted to share that letter with all of you. Thank you.
Are there any other family members that want to come forward and share a moment? How about friends? Anybody that knows Laura? Or Ann Letty is an old friend of hers. I think even a cheerleader. Am I right? And I'm not going to sit in the rocking chair. I'm going to go back down here.
You're going to have to forgive me if I cry, because I've been crying ever since I heard. I couldn't even call Jeff until last night. But anyway, I'd like to begin my remarks with one of these edicts in how to be an artist. And it says, listen to old people. So I have a few things you might like to hear about my best friend. I had two really best friends growing up, one from kindergarten up until even today. And the other best friend was Laura. I met her later on in high school, maybe junior high, I don't remember. And we just clicked. And we were cheerleaders together, and we had a lot of fun. And we kept in touch. After she got married, I brought a newspaper clipping from high school. Laura was in the Sub-Debs Club, which was kind of a social club, and they had a dance at the Roney Plaza Hotel in Lima Beach, the annual spring formal. And her date was Olin Green. He was the star football player. He went on to become Florida's state fire marshal. None of us ever thought he would end up like that, but he was very successful. And unfortunately, he passed just not even a year ago. That's the worst part about being old. It's not the aches and the pains and the doctor's appointments and you live at the pharmacy in the long line. It's losing so many friends. And we grew up in such a great era. Everybody stayed together, and our class, the class of 55, we're still having reunions. We're having a reunion next December, and we get a lot of people, and it's just great. And Laura was so much a part of that. I brought a photograph of us in our, I guess we were at a luncheon in our 50s attire, but 50s is back, so we're right in style. And I brought a picture. Jeff, we came to visit you with Jean May and Ann Lotsbeach when you were building the house and you were living in the condo somewhere down the way. And I brought a picture. It's so good of all of us, and we were all such good friends. But the one thing you didn't know about Laura Well, first of all, you all familiar with the calendar that the firefighters put out every year? Well, they're not the only ones. We put out a calendar, and Laura was Miss December. I don't know who's in the Santa Claus uniform, that's a big secret. And I got the back page of the calendar. I wasn't Miss Anybody, but at least I made the calendar. And I have two stories to tell about Laura. A happy one and a well, first of all, is there any child protection services people in the house? Because if you are, I can't tell this story. And is Scott here? Okay. You were this big. I mean, Laura was the first one of us to have a baby. And she lived right near me, so I was always over at your house. The washing machine was in the backyard. And you had the worst diaper rash I had ever seen. And Laura didn't know what to do. And I didn't know what to do. And we both were reading Dr. Spock. We might as well have been reading Mr. Spock, because so I thought I had the answer. We were going to put you in a sitz bath of water and baking soda. Oh my gosh, you never screamed so loud. I hear that to this day. I should have used cornstarch. That's how little we knew. And the other story that I remember, and I'm sure her father does too, I was spending the night at her house, and the next morning we were sitting in the living room. She was in one chair and I was in the other, and we were sitting cross-legged, and we were talking about what we usually talked about, boys. And her father came out, and he was eavesdropping, and he came out and he said, he looked at both of us and he said, "Are you in love?" And Laura looked at me and said, "Are you in love?" And I looked at her and said, "Are you in love?" And we both said together, "Well, I really think I knew." And we jumped up and started dancing all over the living room. It was like a Broadway musical choreography. And I'll never forget, you know, I'll never forget my best friend. But in closing, I want to talk about one more edict in this that tells you to give money away. I'm available to receive it.
Thank you, Ann. You've been at our house a number of times, and I didn't know you were that funny. Is there anybody else who'd like to follow that? If not.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Jody, Laura's daughter and Lynn's sister, and I'm glad there's a lot of laughter today. I brought up this because it seems like I need something to look at, but I did not really write anything down, so I'm not sure why I carried that with me. So I just want to tell you all a few quick stories about my sister and my mom. They were just the most amazing women and set great examples in my life for sure, and in the lives of all of us that are sitting up here in the front rows and in all of the rows. Anyone that knew them knows that they shined a light wherever they were and made an impression on those people that knew them. One time someone told me that Lynn really just showed people the goodness of themselves and their talents and things that they didn't even realize that they could do, and just she was confident for you, and you were like, oh, I guess I am really good at that. And it was just a wonderful gift for Lynn to have. And so let me just talk a little bit about her first, and then I'll move on to my mama. But when I was born, I was the youngest of 5. My mom and my dad, which is different than Jeff. My mom was married more than once, but anyway, when I was born, I was the youngest of 5, and Lynn was 10 years old. My crib was in her room, so she took care of me like a mother and a big sister, changed my diaper a lot, so obviously it's a good thing, because Ann said Mom couldn't really handle the diaper rash. But Lynn, she would get me up in the night if I was crying and pat my back and all of that. And then my other brothers and sisters would carry me around, or not other, I didn't have another sister. My brothers would also carry me around. I hardly ever touched the ground. But by the time I was old enough to kind of go out to the movies with them, which I think I may have been 5 or 6. We'll have to look it up. But whenever some Cheech and Chong movie came out in the mid-'70s, that's when Scott and Danny and Gary and Lynn decided it would be great to bring their little baby sister to this rated R movie. And we were in our Volkswagen Thing, which was an awesome vehicle. So I couldn't stand the movie. It was terrible. And Lynn could tell that I hated it. So she sacrificed watching this entertainment to walk me back outside and go sit with me in the Thing, but accidentally slammed my finger in the door, and it swelled up like a hot dog. It was just terrible. But anyway, so she sat out there with me. That was like one of my big first memories. But then when I became a teenager, I would visit Lynn in Miami. She was a bartender on South Beach at the Palace. And what amazing memories. She was vibrant. She was herself. She taught me that I could just pretty much just be Jody, and she was definitely Lynn. And that was amazing. She had Mona the Falcona, an amazing Ford Falcon, 1960s model. And she would let me drive her around, and when Mona was not feeling good, Mona was in the beauty shop getting her hair done, getting things fixed up, and that's the way Lynn referred to Mona. But just great memories. One time Chuck came down there to stay with Lynn, and we stayed up all night on South Beach, Miami. We never even went to sleep, and we watched the sunrise on the beach that morning. And then I think we went and took naps in Lynn's yard under the banyan trees. That was an amazing apartment with the louvered windows and all the furniture that she painted and made and stuck dominoes to. And that's where I learned about the talking heads, and we just blasted them. Great memories. And then as adults later in life, Lynn became the most amazing aunt to Chuck and I's 3 children, always sending big boxes of just stuff that she had bought that she didn't really want anymore, and the girls and I would just go through it. Oliver maybe got a few things out of there, but Lynn was a giver, absolute giver. Let's see. She would definitely do the same thing on the phone, like, "Hi, Jody, honey girl," that kind of thing. We listened to some voice messages the other night, Sophie and I. We still have them on my phone. But yes, I'm going to keep it light because I don't want to get too sad. If I think of something else about my beautiful Linny, then I'm gonna circle back. But now I'm going to just go ahead and move on to my mom. Again, just full of life, kind of crazy. My childhood was really interesting. One of the big things that I remember for sure was all of the practical jokes. I know you probably all have heard some of these, but one example is, my mom and dad were very good practical jokesters together, and they owned an art gallery together, and they were a little bit eccentric, I think, as a couple, but they thought it was just great to come up with artistic practical jokes. So one time they spent weeks making these wooden signs in their garage and then put them all out in the neighborhood. One said like Terry's tarot card reading and like Paul's plumbing service with like a really funny motto I can't remember, and like a picture of like a toilet or someone sitting on a toilet. And then like Barry's bariatric clinic or something. And all these signs were in everyone's yards. And then the final one was this guy Grant, who they were trying to get back at. And his sign said Grant's Sign Company. So that was how they worked that one out. But I mean, even just the smallest thing, like at Gooding's grocery store in Winter Park, Florida, why don't we just put a little butternut squash in the orange juice maker? That would be hysterical. Then someone will get butternut squash juice instead of orange juice, then they won't even know. So, you know, just a kid at heart, for sure. When we did road trips in the Roachmobile, Kane knows the Roachmobile, she's my friend sitting out there, Mom made these like poster boards with all these sayings on them so that we could hold them up on the windows so that the cars driving by would be able to read notes from us. And one of them was, your back tire is going forward. And that would really confuse people. They'd be like, oh, thank you. And then it's like, oh wait, it is? They're supposed to be going forward. Bud is wiser was another one that we thought was hysterical. Get off my tail, turkey, and then she drew this turkey, and we would put that one on the back window of the Roachmobile if someone was right on our tail and she didn't like it. So we'd crawl back over the seat and get into the back of the station wagon and put it on the back window. But anyway, just lots and lots of stories. If you stay after, I'm sure I can think of a few more to tell. They just go on and on. We went and got Scrabble letters so that we could mix up all the marquees in town and make new phrases. That was a famous, whenever Uncle Tom was in town, we would drive around in his convertible Cadillac and go see which marquees we would want to change, and then come back to the house, get out all the Scrabble pieces and with the letters that were available to us on the marquee, and we'd just move them around until something was funny enough, and then we'd go back and change it. The list goes on and on. So, and then of course, in these older years and the adult years, Mom was just always there for me, always encouraging, never judgmental, loving to all of our grandkids and relatives here, all the kids and people in our lives. I feel very fortunate I was able to spend those last couple of weeks with her and Jeff. It was a beautiful time. One thing that we asked is that some of our family and friends send in some stories that they could tell to Mom while she was still around, but she was kind of in this phase of, like, it was a very Zen quality. She knew she was not going to be here much longer, and so she just got very peaceful, and she just was smiling and very relaxed, not stressed at all. And so I just asked, since she was kind of just sitting around, and listening to the birds and things like that, how about folks send in some stories of remembrances? And so we played those for her, the last couple of weeks of her life, last 12 days to be specific. We played those audio recordings or video recordings over and over, like maybe twice a day, and she just would smile. You could tell she just loved it so much. And so my son Oliver put together a video compilation, and you'll hear some of those audio recordings over top, and that's where that came from, at least for the most part, until you hear Grammy's voice, and that was a little earlier, and a little like last year or so. But I just wanted to introduce that and let you know that that's where all of that came from. So I think at this time we're ready to move on to the video. Thank you.
Hey Mom, it's me, Scott. Just wanted to remind you of the story that about when we were living in Mount Dora. We were just at a stoplight, and there was like a couple next to us, couple of old ladies next to us, and you just whipped out this hand. I mean, it was cold outside and everything like that, but it was had in your sleeve. It's from a mummy, or not a mummy, but a dummy from the mall, and you started waving it at the couple of ladies, and they're waving back at you. And then you let the hand fall out of your sleeve, the dummy hand. And you should have seen the look on their face, Mom. They freaked out. And then you hit the gas when the light turned green and you took off. It was hilarious. Oh my God, I remember that to this day. I just want to remind you of that and let you know that how much I love you. All right, Mom, you take care.
Hi, Grandma Laura. It's your Gina, being a ballerina. You're the only person in my life who ever calls me Gina Ballerina. My favorite memory with you would be when I went to go visit you in North Carolina with my dad, and we had the best trip. You taught me how to paint a little bit, and I made a few paintings with you. We went on nature walks, and I remember I collected a bunch of those little silver rocks that I thought were worth millions of dollars. And I love you so much.
Hi, Laura. I just want you to know I love you so much. And I have a lot of sweet memories. Probably my favorite is this beautiful painting that you did of the vase of flowers that Dan gave me. It was the last one. And I will treasure this forever and ever. I love you. I wish I was there with you, and I'm sending lots of love and hugs.
Hey, Laura Jean. It's Pat. I'm just thinking of the first time I met you. It was shortly after Dick and I were married, and we went by your house. He wanted me to meet you, and he was obviously very proud of you and your talent. And I was amazed at your ability to do all you did with young children running around. And you showed me a piece of artwork you had created, and you said it just was something you just did quickly, just like a sketch, but it was beautiful. And I can't describe it to you. I can kind of see it in my mind's eye, but that was very special for me.
Hi, Grammy. It's Sophie. You used to take us to go see Biscuit the pig, and we went to go to the farmer's market in Cashiers, and there was this pig that lived underneath the porch named Biscuit, and we used to love to go see him. And one year you made us all these shirts that said Biscuit on them, and you painted Biscuit the pig on the shirts, and then you wrote his name, and we all wore those shirts around all the time. I love you.
Hi, Aunt Laura. It is your favorite niece, Melanie, here. I'm at an airport right now waiting to get on a plane to go back to Pittsburgh from Florida, and I was just thinking about you and all of the wonderful childhood memories I have of you and Jody and all of your kids. I remember sitting around the piano singing silly songs. I remember you teaching me how to fart with my armpit, which was hilarious. And I remember you sticking olives on all of my fingers, and I think I ate 10 olives and then got all sick, but I still love olives, so it's okay. I also remember the time that Jody and I stayed with you at that big fancy house, and we got into a fight over a cockroach, and you intervened and brought us back together like you always do. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know how much I love you, and I am thinking about you and wish I could be there to hold your hand.
Hey, Laura, this is Chuck, Jody's husband, your son-in-law. I just wanted to say hello and let you know that I'm thinking of you during this time. The funny story I will share about you, it's one of the first times that we met, we were having a cookout, and we were cooking brats and Jeff's famous Jeff burgers, or whatever they were called. And I asked where the bathroom was, and you had indicated that it was right over there out the side of the kitchen. And I went to go use the bathroom, and you had somehow snuck in there before I went to the bathroom and put 2 burnt bratwurst in there, so they looked like 2 floating turds in the toilet. And that was one of my first impressions of you in terms of your humor and just zest for life and for humor. And then later that evening, you and I got into a belly extension yoga contest in which I want to say I actually won. I was able to put my belly out farther than yours, but that was probably the second odd thing that had occurred on this weekend that I had met you. So anyways, just sharing those stories. We all love you dearly. Okay, that's the end of my story. Love you, Laura. Bye-bye.
I don't even know what to say. I'm enjoying having lunch with all the Pippins, with almost all the Pippins.
What's on your mind? Anything?
Food.
That's on your fingers.
What's your favorite food?
Ice cream.
What kind? Butter pecan?
No, we've changed to vanilla. We just use vanilla.
The Breyers organic?
Organic.
Peach is good sometimes.
Peach, I love peach, but Jeff has to have vanilla. I love peach.
We got Neapolitan, and it's amazing. I like the combination of chocolate and strawberry.
Yeah.
I did buy you peach.
I'd eat it.
I think the Bluebell brand strawberry is too sweet.
Really?
See, I don't eat sugar.
I know. Well, you eat sumac cookies. Isn't that sugar?
Not sumac.
Whatever.
Well, but there's sugar in the chocolate chips, but they're dark chocolate chips.
Right.
Antioxidants.
Yeah.
I want to get a snake. They're so cool.
We see deer in our property. All the time. At least 5 or 6. And
you see more
family.
More deer or more bears?
More deer. We haven't seen a bear in a long time.
I've been 2 years since seen a bear.
Really? There was a bear at our house 2 nights ago.
Yep. He took our garbage, put it up in the woods somewhere. It's gonna be a mess to clean up. Because it had fish, it had all those trout in it. Or no, maybe that was the chicken wings. It might have been the chicken wings trash.
Who likes salmon?
I love salmon.
Oh, we have salmon like every other day.
It's so good for you, and it's delicious.
We buy it at Food Matters, which is in Brevard, and they get fresh salmon on Thursdays.
Nice.
So we're going to buy some today on our way home.
Okay.
Salmon, trout, tuna. So good.
Do you like any fish at all, Sophie?
No.
Not even halibut anymore? You used to like halibut.
I don't like any fish.
Oh, well, for the halibut. I just had to,
I'm surprised you didn't say oh dear earlier when you were talking about your deer.
Oh dear. Yeah. Jeff has to put up with that, all those remarks.
It was lovely to hear Mom's voice and just her sense of humor in that. Oliver, thank you for putting that together. And thank you for everyone who sent stories for Mom to listen to those last couple of weeks. You might have noticed, too, my brother Danny's photo, or a few of them in that montage. And just in case you don't know, my brother passed away also over a decade ago, and so my mom did lose 2 of her children, which is heartbreaking for any parent. But we had a wonderful celebration for Danny a long time ago as well, and of course his wife Maria is here, and his lovely children Alec and Gina are in the front row too. So quite a wonderful full circle for all of them during this day, and so I just wanted to make sure that you knew that. Yeah. And then another thing is Mom's voice that you heard. That was probably about 2 years ago. Sophie, whenever you moved into that other house, that first house in Brevard. Okay, so 3 years ago. So she didn't sound like that this past year. You could tell she was very lively in that recording. So anyway, but that was fun. So, and now I think we're getting close to the end of our celebration. I'll bring Jeff back up one more time.
Well, to continue our celebration today, I want to call up a personal friend of Laura and mine. I've known him for several years, and he gave Laura piano lessons. One of Laura's special requests is that for him to share some of the songs that she enjoyed. So, Laura's boyfriend, Brian.
Hey everyone. So first, I'd like to share a few words about my girlfriend, Laura. Laura loved music, specifically piano. And I've been playing piano at this church for about 17, 18 years now. I'm starting to lose track. But I remember one of the first Sundays I was here, and I finished the postlude at the end of service. And Laura came up and introduced herself to me, and she said, "That was wonderful." And she had been doing that every Sunday she was here for those 17 years. And even the very last time that Laura and Jeff were able to make it, at the very end of service, she came up here all by herself, and she was determined to give me a great big hug and say, "That was wonderful." And we'd talk and finally say goodbye for the day, and she'd look over at Jeff. She'd say, "Now get me down from here." And she asked me about piano lessons pretty early on. Laura was one of my first students here in Cashiers, one of my longest students as well. And when I would advertise my lessons, I would say, I teach from ages 5 to 85. And Laura was that person I always thought about, because she was 85 and still taking lessons. And I'd get adults to be like, am I too old to take lessons? And I'd be like, I've got someone who's 85. And they're like, oh, okay. So Laura was a testament. It can work out. We had lessons in this sanctuary for several years until not long after that. I think Laura and Jeff invited me to their house and started doing lessons there, followed by lunch. And sometimes I'd come over and we wouldn't do lessons. We'd just talk and eat. And Laura and I, we really got to know each other very well. We'd talk about anything and everything, from solving the world's problems to if we had a good poop that morning. She'd talk about anything, no filters. It was great, loved it. Cookies. She always had homemade cookies every single time I was there. And she'd ask me, "Would you like a cookie?" Of course. And she'd send me home with a whole bag full of cookies. And she'd say, "Now, share these with your family." Of course, when I left 10 minutes down the road, that bag was empty. Loved her cookies. Of course, as we know, Laura was an exceptional artist. I loved her artwork, and every time I'd come over for lessons or to eat, I'd always see a new work in progress, which she'd tell me all about. Of course, I told her, I love art too, and if I didn't do music, I would have gone into visual arts. And I said, well, I admire painting because I could never paint, but I really love pastels. And so many years ago, she agreed to help me on a project that I really wanted to do. It's actually a pastel portrait of my son Alexander, who's here today. It was a picture of him when he was 1.5. He looked like a 25-year-old watching TV at midnight in this photo. It's a great photo. It took 3 months to complete. It is now framed on the wall in my house. And when anybody comments about this portrait, I said, I couldn't have done it without Laura. She was very patient with me. Likewise, my parents would visit this cabin that they would vacation at in Indiana, a small town, this lovely blue cabin. And I asked Laura, I said, I think I would like to do a pastel of this cabin. It was great memories for my parents. And once again, she guided me through that and helped me create a beautiful project that I was able to present to my parents. And one time I told her, I said, maybe I'll try painting. And Laura's very patient, and she loves painting. It lasted 5 minutes. We never spoke of it again. I do not have the talent for paint. But she loved music. She loved the piano. And I was very blessed up until her final days to visit her almost on a weekly basis and give her these concerts. On her keyboard, which is right here today. And she would wheel on up right next to me, and we saw in some of the photos up there, it was quite nice to see the progression of the beginning of a song to the middle and to the end, field goal. And it was just such a joy because she knew music right up to the very end. I'd be playing a piece, and in the middle of the piece, she'd say, key change, 4 flats. Well, now you went to minor. I'm like, Jeff, do you know what she's talking about? No. Sorry, Jeff. She would sing along, and she'd have the biggest smile I ever saw, and it was just such a joy. So I'd like to present 5 pieces. I played so many for her, but these are 5 that she really loved. Charlie Brown Doing Time is a piece that I arranged many years ago for fun. Well, Laura's all about fun. And so, one time I came over and I said, I want to play this piece I wrote a long time ago. Charlie Brown's in jail. So he's basically in jail doing jailhouse rock, and that's what Charlie Brown Doing Time is. And then I'm going to follow that up with Just a Closer Walk with Thee. I always loved playing this because she always sang along to it every time and had the biggest smile. Great is the Lord. I would often play this as a postlude, and she'd come up at the end of service and be like, great is the Lord, I love it. And the very last piece of music sitting on her keyboard at home was Great is the Lord. The Sunset is a piece that I wrote. The last couple of years I wrote my own music dedicated to nature and mountains. And I'd always ask Laura, I'd be like, I just wrote this new piece, you want to hear it? And I love playing for Laura because she would always say it's great. So The Sunset is one of those pieces that she really loved. Finally, I'm going to end it with I'll Fly Away, another piece that, Laura, she loved to move, and she'd come to me at the end of church service and be like, I just wanted to dance to that number. And I'd be like, go ahead, dance. I'm not going to stop you. And she'd start dancing right there. So that was Laura. So please feel free to applause, but as you do, let's do it in remembrance of Laura.
I'm Pastor Aaron, and I want to just once again say thank you for all of you who have come today to celebrate Laura and Lynn, and it has been a privilege for me to be able to listen to your stories and your memories and just the bounty of light and love that these two women gave to this world and to this family. Laura had a very special gift of encouragement. You already heard Brian say that a little bit, but one of my memories of her is when you were talking with her, you felt like you were the only person in the world that mattered. And that is truly a gift. And she always made you feel so special. So thank you guys for sharing her and Lynn with everyone this morning. This afternoon. So I get the privilege of reading one of Laura's favorite scripture passages. We know that these gifts are not something that comes out of thin air. These gifts are a gift from God. And you don't have the kind of joy that Laura had on your own. Life is just too difficult for that. And so this is one of her favorite scriptures, and one that reminds us of the source of our joy, and a source of joy that is always with us. So here now, a reading from the Gospel of John, chapter 14. Jesus answered, "Whoever loves me will keep my word. My Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them." Laura definitely had our holy God living in her. Whoever doesn't love me doesn't keep my words. The words that you hear isn't mine. It is the word of the Father who sent me. I've spoken these things to you while I am with you. The companion, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of everything I told you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I give to you not as the world gives. Do not be troubled or afraid. You have heard me tell you, I am going away and returning to you. If you loved me, you would be happy that I am going to the Father, because the Father is greater than me. I've told you before it happens, so that when it happens, you will believe. That is one of the comforts we have as people of faith, that we can be happy and joyful even when those we love have passed, because we know that they are going to the Father and that we too will join them. At this time, I'm going to offer a prayer and an opportunity for us to continue to celebrate these two beautiful women. Would you pray with me, please? Holy God, we are so grateful for the gift that you have given us in Laura and Lynn. Lord, we pray that you would comfort their friends and family as they grieve and as they celebrate their life. Lord, they have been truly a gift to this world. And we are so grateful that you shared them with us even if only for a season. And Lord, we are grateful that as we celebrate their life, we celebrate that they are in your presence, that their life continues in the eternal life that you have promised, that their joy continues in your joy, that their love continues in your love. And God, as you have given them as a gift to us, we return them to you, knowing that this gift lives on in the memories, in their family and friends, knowing that this is a gift that keeps on giving. And that each time we share a story, each time we hear their voice, their laughter, or see their smile, we will know to give thanks to you for this indescribable gift. Lord, all this we ask in your holy and precious name. Amen. So at this time, we do invite you all to stay. There are some refreshments in the fellowship hall. You will get to see Laura's art up close and personal, and take some home with you if you would like. There is an opportunity for you to write down your memories of Lynn and Laura so that the family may continue to celebrate her life, not only today, but for years to come. So at this time, I invite you you can just go through this door here and down the hallway. You'll see her painting right there where you need to go. Thank you all again for coming today.